Hello everyone, this is 7th grade, lesson 1.3, adding rational numbers. By the end of today, we should be able to find the sums of rational numbers. We'll be able to explain how and model rational numbers on a number line, find sums of numbers and reasoning of absolute values, and then use properties of addition to efficiently add rational numbers. Please make sure you copy this down. Write it down. I should see this in your notes. This should be the first thing. Also, please don't forget to write your name right on the left side. Write the date, and then today's lesson title would be 1.3. All right, so again, please don't forget to write those things down. It's very important that I know that you are taking good notes. Okay. All right, let's move on to question number 1. So first things first, when we are adding or subtracting rational numbers, we want to make sure that we know same sign, we what? Add, so plus, 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 right? Same sign, we what? Add. Different signs, we what? Subtract, okay? We add, we subtract, okay? So we know that's a negative 7/16. We know that this is what? That is a positive 5/16. Please do not get confused. You know, I had a few questions today being like, well, I don't know what that means. Well, all that means is we're adding a negative 7/16. Don't let that confuse you either. Honestly, you could probably just scratch that out. Who cares? And we're going with that. All right, so same sign, different signs. We know that's a negative. We know that's a positive. So if they are different signs, we have to subtract. All right, so let's subtract. The denominator stays the same. So let's do 7 minus 5. What does that get you? That gets you 2/16. But my question is, do we have more negatives or more positives? Is 7 a bigger number or is 5 a bigger number? Well, the answer is that 7 is a bigger number. So we know our answer is negative 2/16. Also, am I done? Is there something that I need to do? Yes, there is. I do need to simplify, which means I have to divide. What number can go into 2 and into 16? That is 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 16 divided by 2 is 8. So your answer for this problem is actually negative 1/8. All right, let's move on. Question numero dos. For those of you that would like to work ahead, I'm already giving you the answer. The answer for this problem is 1/3. Press pause right now. See if you can solve the problem. Here we go. To get an answer, first of all, we need to have a common denominator. So what number does 5 and 15 have in common? They have 15, right? So how do we get 5 to 15? Well, we have to multiply by 3. So if we do it on the bottom denominator, you got to multiply on the top. 3 times 3 will give you 9. I'm going to rewrite this right now because it's a little messy. So we have 9/15 plus negative 4/15. Now that you have this, we can combine like terms. We have that and this. So I'm going to rewrite it like this. Denominator stays the same. You have 9 minus 4. What is 9 minus 4? Well, that's going to give you 5/15. Also, ladies and gentlemen, do I have more? Is 9 more or is negative 4 no more? So positive 9 or negative 4? Well, we know positive 9 is bigger. We know it's 5/15, but we always, moving forward, at least in 7th grade, the rule is we always what? Always simplify. All right. So what number can go into 5 and 15? It is 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 15 divided by 5 is 3. So our answer for this problem is 1/3. All right, let's move on to question number 3. Here we go. So first thing you guys notice, we're like, oh man, this has got some wholes numbers, and then this is an improper fraction. What do? I'd highly suggest just turn them both into improper fractions. It's easier that way. How do we do that? Well, let's multiply. So 3 times 3 is 9. 9 plus 2 is 11. So you now have 11/3. And then negative 7/2. Well, to combine these, we do need to have a common denominator. What common denominator does 2 and 3 have? That is going to be 6. So your common denominator is 6. So we need to get this 2 to have a 6. We need to get this 3 to have a 6. We're going to multiply. And 2 times what gives me 6? 2 times 3 gives me 6. That means I got to multiply on top times 3. 7 times 3 is 21, right? It's negative. 2 times 3 is 6. All right. 3 times what gives me 6? That's 3 times 2. 3 times 2 gives me 6. And then 11 times 2 gives me 22. So now that I have that, let's just combine like terms. Denominator stays the same. And let's see, are these the same sign or a different sign? Well, that's a positive 22. That's a negative 22. So they are different signs. So if they are different signs, we have to subtract. So 22 minus 21 is going to give you 1 over 6. Now my question is, do we have more positives or do we have more negatives? We actually have more positives. So our answer for this problem is 1/6. All right, let's move on to question number 4. Here we go. So do we have same sign or different sign? They are different sign, which means we need to subtract. So 5.6 minus 1.3. 6 minus 3 is 3. 5 minus 1 is 4. So is 1.3 a bigger number or is 5.6 a bigger number, right? Because that's positive. Well, the positive one is, so that means the answer for this problem is 4.3. Good job. Let's move on to the next one. Same style of question, we just need to combine. Same sign or different sign? Different sign, so that means we need to subtract. 8.2 minus 5.4. The question is, can I take 4 from 2? Nope. So that means I gotta borrow. That turns into 7. I now have 12 minus 4, which gives me 8. Drop your decimal. And then 7 minus 5 gives me 2. Now here's my question, ladies and gentlemen. Do we have more positives or do we have more negatives? Well, just looking at this number, I know that negative 8.2 is bigger than 5.4. So that means my answer for this problem is going to be negative 2.8. All right, let's try another one. Same style, same steps. Again, I would like you guys to press pause on these questions, try to answer them on your own, and then if you have to, just fast forward me, especially if you got the answer right. All right, so I'll give you guys the answer for number 6. The answer is negative 5.61. So if you got it, just fast forward because that means you know how to do it. Let's solve our work. Same sign or different sign? Different signs, which means we need to subtract. So we have 12.76. Don't forget, how do we subtract decimals? Subtract or add decimals. You do need to line up the decimals. So I have the decimal here. I have a 7 there. 1, 5. Got to subtract. So let's subtract. 6 minus 5 is 1. 7 minus 1 is 6. Can I take 7 from 2? Nope. So I got to borrow. That turns into 0. That turns into 12. 12 minus 7 is 5. Please don't forget to drop your decimal. Now here's the question. Do we have more negatives or do we have more positives? Well, looking at this, I know 12.76 is bigger than 7.5. So we know our answer for this problem is negative. Good job. Let's move on to the next one. Here we go. Let's take a look what our friend is doing. See if they are correct. Your friend finds the sum. Is your friend correct? Explain your reasoning. Do I want you to write this stuff down? Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. So what am I actually want you to write down? Please write down, is your friend correct? And explain your reasoning. Write down this problem. Here we go. So let's see what our friend did. So they have 3 over 10 plus negative 1 over 10. They said 3 plus 1. Hint is going to give you 4 over 10. They simplified, divided by 2, and then they got 2 over 5. Is your friend correct? Nope. What did they do wrong? I give you guys a hint. There's the hint, there's the hint, there's the hint. What did they do wrong? They added the number instead of what? Subtracting it. So it should have been 3 over 10 minus 1 over 10, which actually gave them 2 over 10. And if you simplify that, divide by 2, divided by 2, you're going to get 1. Oops. You're going to get 1 over 5. All right, let's move on to the next one. Numero 8. All right, so guys, here's a quick reminder. We talked about this. What does the additive inverse mean? When you add the opposite, so when you add your opposite, it's going to equal what? 0. So let's see. I have a positive 7.1. I have a negative 7.1. If I combine those two together, I get 0. So that means our answer for this one should just be just 4.3. Okay. Let's try another one. Let's see. Now, I'm looking at this question and I'm like, okay, what do we do here? You can add these two together, but if you're looking at this, 3.8 plus 5.7, these are some weird numbers. So what we're trying to look to do is try to combine things that can go together. I highlighted those two together because they do go together. Do you guys know why? Let's see. 5.7 and hit that 0.3. 7 plus 3 gives you 10. Carry the 1. 5 plus 1 gives you 6. Drop down that decimal. So you now have 3.8 plus 6. Much easier to add this than to add this, then add that. So I know 6 plus 3 gives me 9, plus a 0.8 is going to give you 9.8. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Let's see if you guys can see a pattern. What two questions would you like to add together? Well, I see that 5 and I see that 5 and I'm like, okay, 5 plus 5 should be 10 somehow. So let's see if we can combine these two things together. So we have 4.9 plus, and now let's add those two together. We have negative 3.5. Same sign, right guys? Same sign. So that means if they're the same sign, we need to add. So let's add those two together. So it's technically a plus, right? So 5 plus 5 is 10. Carry the 1. 3 plus 1 is 4. They're both negative, right? Which means that makes that a negative 4. So you now have 4.9 minus 4. Well, if we subtract our whole numbers, what's left over? The answer is just 0.9. Alright, cool. Let's do the next one. Number 11. The one thing I want to recommend for specifically for word problems is if you have to draw something, draw something. It's much easier to visualize it if you draw it. So what exactly am I asking you to draw? Let's see. It says the temperature. How do we usually check our temperature or check temperature? Well, nowadays it's digital, but back in the day they had a what? A thermometer, and it was at 0, right? There was 0 degrees, and then you go negative, right? So negative, and then you can go positive, right? So let's take a look. Same thing as a number line. It says the temperature was at negative 12.6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it was at negative 12.6. It was right here. And then the temperature goes up 7.9 degrees. So that would be plus 7.9. We did talk a little bit about this, about number lines. So let me draw my perfect straight line. Boom. Boom. Here's 0. So we went negative 12.6. And then we went positive 7.9. So how do we add these two together? Well, let's see. We have negative 12.6 and a positive 7.9. Are they the same sign or different signs? They are different signs, which means we need to subtract. So let's subtract. Can I take 9 from 6? Nope. I gotta borrow. That turns into 1. That turns into 16. What is 16 minus 9? That's going to give you 7. Don't forget to drop down your decimal. Can I take 7 from 1? Nope. So I have to borrow. That turns into 0. That turns into 11. And then 11 minus 7 gives you 4. Now here's my question, ladies and gentlemen. Do I have more negatives or do I have more positives? Well, if I'm looking at this, I know 12.6 is bigger. So that means that answer is going to be negative 4.7. Alright, let's move on to the next one. numero 12. Again, try to imagine it and see if you can figure it out. It says you finish 3/8 of the project. Your friend finishes 1/4 of the project. What fraction of the project did you finish? Well, we have a 3/8 and then 1/4. Well, what do? Do I add? Do I multiply? Do I divide? Do I subtract? Do I add? Well, let's see. You finished, your friend finished, and then what fraction did we finish? So, if we're thinking about this like in picture styles, just think of a picture. Your friend ate 1 slice, you ate 2 slices, okay? And then it says, how much of the pizza did you guys eat? Well, looking at this, you guys had 3 slices together. So if you did that, that means you just added. So it means we want to add these 3 things together. So we have 3/8 plus 1/4. Well, how do we add fractions? You need to have a common denominator. So what common denominator does 4 and 8 have? That is going to be 8. So let's multiply. 4 times 2 is 8. 1 times 2 is 2. So you now have 3/8 plus 2/8, which is going to give you 5/8. So you and your friend finished 5/8 of your project. All right, let's see. We'll do one more, this hard one right here. So it looks hard just because of the fractions, but again, if we wanted to combine these two together, we can follow the rules of PEMDAS, go from left to right. But what I'm looking at right now is I'm like, well, that -3, that -2 gives me 5, right? -5, and I have a +5, and then I just have some fractions over here, right? So with that being said, let's combine those 2 green ones together first and then see what happens. Alright, so we have -2 and 1/3 plus -3 and 1/6. They are the same sign, so if they are the same sign, that means we need to add. So let's do this. Let's turn them into improper fractions. 3 times 2 is 6 plus, 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. So you know 7/3. Let's do this one. 6 plus 3 is 6 times 3 is 18. 18 plus 1 is 19/6. Good. We need to get a common denominator. That common denominator is going to be 6. So times 2 times 2. So now you get -14/6 plus 19/6. Let's add these two together. Well, same sign or different signs. They are different signs. So what do you think we do? 19 minus 14 would give you 5/6. Okay. Where am I at? Yeah, so you get 5 and 5/6. No, I did something wrong. What did I do wrong here? 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 1, 7. 6 times 3 is 18. Plus 1 is 19. 19/6. Combine like terms. Oh, negative. Check this out. It's supposed to be a negative. I don't know if you guys noticed that. I didn't notice it. That's what happens if we don't write it down. So we did not add them together. We actually have to. Sorry, we didn't subtract them. We actually add them together. So 19 plus 14. 9 plus 4 is going to give you 13. Carry the 1. 1, 2, 3. That's 3. So you now have -33/6. And then you have 5 here. Well, we're not done because we have to combine these two together. Let's return this back into a mixed number. How many times does 6 go into 33? It's going to be 5 times. That's a -5, right? What's left over? 6 times 5 is 30. So 33 minus 30 gives you 3. So let's check this out. We have +5 and a -5. Well, if we do just some math, those are going to cross themselves off. And what are you left over with? Just 3/6. 3/6, another way to write 3/6 would be also, because you have more negatives, right? That's 5 and some. It's going to be -3/6. Another way to write that is -1/2. half. I do apologize. Look at that, we went through some sloppy work. I also missed that negative sign. I apologize, but we can figure it out. We're going to try another one and see if we can get it done correctly this time. I'll take my time and we'll slow down. Last one, guys. This is 15. Let's combine some like terms. So that's negative, that's negative. Let's put those two together and see what we can get. So negative 4.3. We know that they are the same sign, so that means we need to add. So let's add. 4 plus 3 is 7. 4 plus 2 is 6. Drop that decimal, bring down to 1. So now we have, they're both negatives. So now let's just combine. We have 19.1 minus 16.7. They are different signs. If they are different signs, that means we need to subtract. So 16.7. Let's subtract. Can I take 7 from 1? Nope, I gotta borrow. That turns into 8. That turns into 11. 11 minus 7 is 4. 8 minus 6 is 2. Don't forget to drop that decimal. 1 minus 1 is 0. Do we have more negatives or do we have more positives? We have more positives, so we know our answer is going to be 2.4. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys learned something. I'll see you guys tomorrow in class. Bye.